but I only pay for the fan that distributes it, so I save a lot of money. My electric bill is on average $25 a month. All right, Holly?
Come on!
Just so you guys are aware, video is up already, just in case you didn't know that.
So I should stop picking my nose? Hey, Denny, speaking of songs that have the hidden meanings, I was 25 until I knew what Pearl Jam's was it ZZ Top's Pearl Necklace actually meant.
When I was like 15 or 16, I had to explain to my aunt that Uncle Cracker's Follow Me was about heroin, and she like thought it was like this like really like beautiful love song, but I'm like, nope, about heroin.
I mean, it is a love song in a way. Love for heroin.
Right.
Come on!
When a man and a needle fall in love, they have a special hug.
Hi, Tony D. Hi, Natasha.
Which is really confusing.
Come on!
Don't you dare put a jacket over that lovely shirt, Andrew. You guys remember that meme of like the crazy girlfriend or whatever, where it was like the college girl with like the bug eyes and everything? No, nobody.
I'm sharing. I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
No one's listening, Tifa.
I noticed that. That hurts.
Hi. My hairstylist is gonna kill me, you guys, because I cut my own bangs today. I had to. I had quarantine hair bad, and like I have Bieber bangs, so I cut them. Allie's puppy's joining us.
Come on. About to start the show here. It is a new week. This is show number 50. We are 50. Show brought to you in part by Bears Auto Detail. Bears, they do it right. They do my cars. Asking for the Andrew Z special deal. They start at like $20 for detail, so give them a call. Lufka All Natural skincare and household cleaners, reusable household products, toothpastes, body scrubs, soaps, lotions, essential oils, and so much more. Check them out, Lufka All Natural in the Country Charm shops in Perrysburg. Glick Electrical Services, providing services to both commercial and residential clients. Clients' our services range from installing simple light fixtures to installing generators in factories. They do it all, provide you the service you deserve. Call today. Let's get this show started.
And now, our feature presentation.
This is Ed McMahon. And now, here's Andrew.
Andrew Z. How about that Andrew Z? I said Andrew Z.
Even though I find this a little narcissistic.
It's time to wake up. Andrew Z. In the morning, yeah.
Come on.
Come on.
Welcome to the show, everybody. It is Tuesday, May 26, 2020, in the year of our Lord. Ah, man, the show just got so much hotter once Nigel Barker popped in. Ladies and gentlemen, the top of the show is Chris T-Fall, everybody, at the top. Denny Crum on the other side of me. In the second row, it's producer Holly. In the center square tonight, Toledo's drag queen, Sugar Vermont.
Hello.
Southside Gina, Colleen Z, and ladies and gentlemen, Nigel Barker!
Andrew Z. In the morning.
Woo! Welcome to the show, everybody. We'll welcome our guest here in just a second. Go ahead, Danny, quick.
If you want to know what the exact opposite of Nigel Barker is, it's Chris Tiefel.
Yes! So true.
I have no talent and I'm ugly.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how you couldn't know, but ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know our guest, right at the top of the show, he is Nigel Barker. He's an internationally renowned photographer. Opened his New York studio in 1996. 17 cycles as a judge on America's Next Top Model with Tyra Banks. He's seen
Say seasons.
and I don't know if I can confirm this, but I think he's seen every single supermodel naked, would be my guess. I believe that's true. We're going to ask him.
He's already nodding yes. He's answered.
He's already nodded yes. He's been 20 years of experience in the fashion beauty industries. He's an amazing photographer. Ladies and gentlemen, Nigel Barker.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
A little verklempt.
Now, first of all, anything Sugar says, I have to apologize up front for, Nigel, because she's in love with you.
Yeah, it's going to be
No
nasty and
apologies
filthy.
needed.
Okay.
Oh,
I love
yeah.
you too, Sugar.
Oh, my God.
We
Oh,
are
I
not
need my
held
feelings
liable
so
for
ready.
anything that she says.
One at a time. And then, now, Nigel, right off the top, can you confirm that you've seen every single supermodel naked?
Well, I'm still counting.
Yes, Daddy.
I love it. Okay, Sugar Vermont, we're going to, against my better judgment, we're going to go ahead and let you go. So go ahead, Sugar.
I have two questions. First of all, can you please take your shirt off?
Again,
My shirt is already off.
Yes, Harry Daddy.
Yeah.
Second question. You obviously work out. You take care of your body. Do you think that you could, for example, I don't know, lift a 350-pound drag queen and put her over her shoulder and smack her bottom?
I believe I could, actually, and maybe more.
So that's like a yes, right? Like we're engaged?
that was
That's even more than a yes.
Oh my God, Nigel Barker, I love you so much. We're in love. We're in love. The rest of the show, we're going to talk about our love.
All right.
Now I just want to see
Started.
Nigel and
yes.
Sugar reenact that last scene in Officer and a Gentleman, where he just comes in and picks her up and walks her out of the factory.
All right.
I'm down for
Over
it.
my shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
God.
Yeah, go ahead, Colleen.
So I have a question. So you've seen pretty much every supermodel naked, and I want to know if any of them have tattoos in hidden places.
Well, I mean, look, it's one of those sorts of things that I don't focus on necessarily. However, there are definitely tattoos in unusual places, but it's a good place to get one if you're going to get one as a model.
Correct.
Yeah, that's true, because then you're still open to any advertisement or whatever, because it doesn't matter, because they're
The
hidden.
bad ones are the ones that you can see everywhere because you can't hide them, or you have to hide them the whole time.
Good
And
point.
by the way, someone like a Tyson Beckford, because you didn't just say girls, right?
Right.
You mean like all models.
Yes,
Yes.
Daddy.
Listening.
Yes, Daddy.
So Tyson, he has a lot of tattoos, and he had to cover them for Ralph Lauren and all those campaigns for years. His arms had loads of makeup on because he's covered in tats.
Now, let me ask you this, Nigel. I know you're married and you have children. My guess is your wife has to be super secure in herself, because I couldn't imagine, like, my wife here, Colleen, would never let me go if I'm going to, like, hey, I'm going to go shoot some supermodels.
Make him show you the shirt, Nigel.
I bought him a shirt with my face on it.
Yes, Nigel. I want to show you the shirt she bought me, Nigel. It's got my wife's face on it everywhere. Like right there.
Yeah.
Definition of security.
You get to see the pity in his eyes.
Wow. Yeah, no kidding. Well, I got my wife a chair with my face on it.
Order this chair.
She could sit on me at any time whenever she wanted.
Is this chair available on Amazon?
It's actually in my bathroom right now, Sugar. I can go get it.
Invite me over.
It's part
Sit on your face.
It's part of the Nigel Barker collection over at Art Van Furniture.
Literally. No, they couldn't afford it. Way too exclusive for them. Yeah, no. I mean, I've even forgotten what the question was.
Oh, just about your wife being very secure, being okay
No,
with
she's
you.
always been very secure, but it's about trust. It's about trust. You know, she trusts me, and ultimately, it's funny. One of those funny things, right? That if you don't trust somebody, then they're probably going to go off and cheat. But if you do trust somebody, then all of a sudden they don't. And we've been together for 25 years, and I don't think she's ever cared as far as who I've shot, or what they were wearing as far as them being naked or not naked or any of that. And if it's a good shot, it's a good shot. And if it isn't, she's the first person to tell me, like, oh, this would be even more beautiful if it were more relaxed, or the sleeve was off the shoulder, or versus. And if you look at someone like a Helmut Newton, it's his wife who did all the casting for his shots, and she was the one who was the art director of all his shoots. Wow. So he's one of the most sort of, I guess, when it comes to sort of fashion and sexual innuendo. Actually, look, this is my wife. This is how good she is. She's listening in, and this is what it's got for me.
Listen.
You thought I was joking?
Yeah. Oh my God, it's real! It's real!
It's real, people!
It's a real.
Can we see the wife?
She's got to be beautiful.
I
I
just looked it up, and she is.
Yeah, she is absolutely gorgeous.
Amazing.
Might be a little bit too good for this show, I think. I don't know, but I have to hire her. She's too real, people.
Nigel,
she's too good.
Nigel, how did you guys meet?
We met many years ago, 25 years ago, in Milan, and actually her agent sort of pimped her out to me a little bit, to be honest. He called me in England and said, I've met this girl in Miami. She's the perfect girl for you. And when I bring her to Milan, you have to meet her. That's a true story. And I flew to Milan when she was in town. I had some work to do anyway. But he said to me, she's in the agency. And literally it was a setup. And I went in, I met her, but in all truthfulness, love at first sight, called my mother that night and said, I've met the girl I'm going to marry. And she's like, don't be ridiculous. She's a Chinese girl from Alabama. You've got nothing in common. And, you're like a Sri Lankan boy from England. There's no way. Right. But who knew? Ultimately, it took me several months just to even get a kiss and a date.
Wow.
Because I had a bit of a reputation. But hey.
That's awesome, man. What a great story. And obviously she knew you before you were. Not saying you weren't Nigel Barker, but she.
I was Nigel Barker.
He has an ID and everything to prove it.
Yeah. But the ones who were with you before you hit it big, those are special relationships, because she was with you when you didn't have everything, and she helped you build it, and it built that partnership, which is just that's something special.
I don't think I would even actually, to be honest, in all fairness, be where I am today if it weren't for her. Wow. And I don't mean that in some weird, trite, kind of be sentimental way. But actually, when you think about it, we were so focused so early on that it allowed us, because we kind of I felt like I'd won the lottery in a way. And then I'm like, okay, I don't have to spend so much energy on the sort of the chase and the craziness and the dating. Right. And I became laser focused on the business and working as a photographer and she was always right there by my side. She did the hair and the makeup, the wardrobe styling before we could afford any of that. And so we kind of built up this kind of incredible trust, as I mentioned earlier, because we worked together. It wasn't, I'm never alone. It seems as a photographer like you're shooting people and somehow it's just you and them.
Right.
But actually, if you were to turn the camera around and you were look from the model's perspective, it's quite chaotic. There's like a whole team of people staring at them. It's not the most romantic kind of like, oh my God, you were like really intimate. It's like they have to be actors. They have to be able to cut away from what's happening around them.
I was going to say that shows. I mean, because you think models, you just stand there and take pictures, but when I looked at some of your examples on your website, and it really looks like this person is just staring at you, and it's just the intimacy is really there, and to think that all that chaos is going on behind them, it shows that there really does take some work. You're not just sitting there as a model getting your picture taken.
No, I mean, look, there's no doubt that obviously there are models and there are models, but there are actors and there are actors, right? And there's a sort of a fine line. It's a different form of acting on some level. If you really want to be good at what you do, at your craft, and the best models are really, it's not about being the most beautiful, but it's about being the most charismatic, and that is different. That is to do with the way you move, the way you talk, the way you. It's all about suggestion. It's about it's a sort of je ne sais quoi, right? It's that something. Why do you like someone? And the reason why we pick our friends isn't because they're the prettiest. At least I hope not. It's normally because of something about them that makes you turns you on one way or the other.
Definitely not because of that. Look at this whole bunch.
Excuse me.
Every word that comes out of his mouth sounds so much cooler when it comes out of his mouth. It's so weird.
It's the accent. It's
Andrew.
It's amazing. It's amazing. No, I was gonna say Nigel. Hey, Nigel's on with us to kind of reset everything, but it just sounds like I think I have to say Nigel Darling. I bet people say Nigel Darling all the time to you.
Stop saying that right now.
Not if they're actually in front of me.
All right, Chris Tiefel has a question. Go ahead, Chris.
I actually have two questions here. One, since you've been in the business so long, what is your view like techniques today versus say the traditional like airbrush and stuff that you guys would have used in the past? And then also how much work or how much planning goes into like a single shot?
First of all, Chris, I can't tell whether that shield in front of the mic is a part of your beard or a part of the actual. There you go. All right. So I was like, dude, we need to work on a few things before we even get going on the questions.
You have to work on a lot.
I need to cut a hole in that so you can talk through it.
He's been here.
Now I see you have the face. Okay, good. Okay. First of all, starting with the actual retouching question, I mean, I'm a big one for like telling people, don't get too hung up on retouching. Don't get too hung up on filters and critical. All this hashtag no filter is hashtag crap.
Yeah.
Right? Everything is filtered one way or the other. Like if you shoot in the afternoon, there's an orange light. That's a sort of a look and a feel. But we've been lighting as professional photographers in order to create a feel and a look. We blow out pictures before we had retouching, because we would overlight an area in order to carve out the body. It's all a sort of a fantasy that we're creating with the light. Every day we wake up, we get dressed, and we put on a certain look and style, and we make a fashion statement, whether we like it or not. Even if it's like something really boring, it's a statement. It's saying I'm boring, right? So, which is
Guilty.
right?
Yes.
You're like, I'm going to cover my face in a lot of hair. That in itself is a fashion statement.
You don't want to see what's under this.
Well, apparently not, but who knows? I look at you and I'm curious. You're the one who I want to see what's behind.
Wow.
The last time I shaved this off, I got accused of looking like a child molester
he had
to my face.
All right, Sugar, go ahead.
Okay. I have my question. 2 questions. First of all, can you please take your shirt off?
Yes.
Second question. Your wife sounds absolutely amazing. Oh my God! Yes, keep going. Jesus Christ! Don't stop now.
You haven't pulled out the dollar bills yet, Sugar.
Yeah, come on.
Shit.
He's not.
Where are they?
He's not cheap.
Second question, Nigel. Your wife absolutely sounds amazing. So supportive and lovely. And I would just like to point out a contrast between her and I in that I do put out on the first date.
Okay.
Absolutely. just to make that clear, just in case, like
Throwing
at
it out
some
there.
point,
Yeah,
and
throwing it out
Justin,
there.
if you were wondering,
all the other supermodels.
Oh, well, thank you. I've just been included with supermodels. It's the best day of my life.
All right, Danny, go ahead.
So you've got to work with all these beautiful women. Is it everything I've ever dreamed of?
I wish I could say I'd been in your head when you were dreaming. I'm actually quite glad that I haven't.
Well, if you ever need,
Yeah, you're right.
But if you ever need anyone to carry like your camera or something, Danny would be definitely down for carrying your
take it
equipment.
For free.
Take
For
a
free.
number. Take a number. Yeah.
Intern Denny.
Yeah, Gina, go ahead.
So we talked a lot about your photography career and a lot about the supermodels, but you also have done quite a few documentaries, and I'm really interested in watching those. So I was wondering where I can see them or buy them or.
Well, so you can actually view them all mostly on YouTube, and you can also watch them on my website, nigelbarker.tv, and you can also watch them on Vimeo, and some of them are available on DVD and stuff like that. So I've done several. The first one I did was called A Sealed Fate, and most of them are around activism. I early on luckily discovered that obviously using photography and filmmaking, other than talking about fashion, I could make a difference, and people would listen to me, and you could get these, a lot of people's attention onto a serious subject and actually make a difference. And one of my missions over the past 20 years is to guide photographers all over the world to sort of, if you really want to do something, if you're looking for a project, something to really make you feel good about your work, or just give you something that is going to make you feel like, okay, I've done something special with photography, to actually find a cause or an issue that means something to you and highlight it through photography. Because, you can wax poetic about almost anything. You can talk about it, you can describe it, but people, they don't believe it. It's like, I don't believe the hype. You can say whatever you like.
Right.
But if you see a picture and you see a photograph, you don't have to say a thing. You can say nothing, right? They look at the picture and it's right there. It's like, it's either the truth or it's not. You're not retouching a movie, to a point where you're like either someone's butchering an animal or being nasty but this is the other thing. I don't use my photography. So if you're going to watch one of my movies, you're not going to see animals being tortured. You're not going to see people being really miserable. What I early on decided to do with my documentaries about issues around the world was to highlight on the celebration of life. So my videos and films, specifically A Sealed Fate, although at the very end of the film, there is about 45 seconds of the hunt, and it is pretty brutal. But it's 45 seconds at the very end, and so there's a caveat. They say, hey, listen, you can turn off right now. But the whole thing is about this extraordinary migration of the largest mammalian migration on Earth, of seals going from the North Pole all the way to Canada, where they give birth on the ice off the coast of Newfoundland. And it's the most extraordinary thing. And you see these seals being born, and I go through the whole period. And the idea is to make you fall in love with them. Because if you fall in love with an animal or any kind of creature, then it's much harder to kill it in a brutal manner.
Yep.
And my point isn't to say you can't kill it. It's about how you kill it. Because no one deserves to sort of be tortured in the process.
Right.
And unfortunately, it's not just the fact that we're saying, you're torturing the animal, but the kids that are doing it, and they are literally kids, they deserve a better life and a better option than to have this is the one job that they get to do. So the Canadian government, they also needs to stand up and say, well, actually, we're going to give these kids something better to do, because this sort of job isn't a real job. And it takes away from being a man. I mean, you don't torture an animal and let it suffer, and that's cool. That's just not cool.
Right.
It's cool to be, if you're a good shepherd, you're a good farmer, you love your animals, even if you eat them.
But you've come up with a brilliant the brilliant second half to that, and the first half is to tell someone not to do something. But if that's how they're supporting their family, well, that's why they do it. But on the second half, if you give them something else, that's where you take the next level, and that's where you can really make a difference.
No, look, there's no doubt. I mean, look, there's a side of me that says no matter what, torture is not the answer.
Right.
And so therefore, unfortunately, even if you have nothing else to do and you can't feed your family, I'm afraid I'm not going to be the one who's going to side with you and say, oh, well, okay, then you can torture the animal.
Right.
Right. But that isn't the case. And that isn't the issue here. You know, even if it's a form of fur, whatever it's going to do, they club the animal because you put a bullet hole in it, it ruins the pelt. So by clubbing the animal, you don't actually put a hole in the pelt, so the pelt is worth more. These were all the reasons why certain things were being done versus other things. It's actually much easier to shoot the animal. The club it, protected the thing. But I actually witnessed animals being clubbed and actually being skinned alive and running off on the ice without their fur.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Alive.
Oh.
So it's like, this is the sort of stuff where you're like, you know what? Not okay, people. Not
Right.
Okay.
Right. So, so that's one film. But I've done films in Africa about pediatric AIDS, and I've done films about creating a generation free of children who have got pediatric AIDS. And so and I've gone to Haiti, and I've created 2 films in Haiti, one which was before the earthquake and one which was after the earthquake. Which we won the Film Heals Award at the Manhattan Film Festival. And that was, again, about celebration of life. It was about incredible perseverance of human spirit against all kinds of hardship. And so, it's not just about one thing or another as far as being an animal activist. I'm not particularly an animal activist, funnily enough. I'm purely about making a difference. And if I see an injustice, I'm not going to be the person who walks to the other side of the road and ignores it. Wow. I'm going to head straight in.
That's
and
awesome,
even if that's always been the way of who I am, and that's just the way I'm built.
Talking to Nigel Barker, international.
This guy has it all. Like, he's great looking, has a great job, and he's doing amazing things in the world. Like, dude, we need more people like you.
I know.
He's a loyal husband. There's nothing not fantastic about
a loyal husband around. I mean, the most beautiful women in the world. Like, you're a unicorn, man.
And he protects penguins. What are you talking? Or seals, rather. Okay, hold on, Colleen, go ahead with your question.
Penguins too.
Penguins too.
So, I am a huge animal activist, but I have a question. What is your biggest passion with the documentaries? Like, what is one thing that you've covered that is super passionate to you?
Yeah, because I've noticed you've worked with almost a dozen charities, but what is the one that really hits you?
To be honest, I think that's I don't have an answer, and I don't mean that just because I'm trying to be like support everybody, but I've been accused of that many times. In fact, many people, managers, agents have said to me, you need to have your own foundation, or you need to concentrate on 1 or 2 organizations and not spread yourself so thinly, then you'd have more impact. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, I don't do it necessarily for that. I do it because if someone asks me for help, I can't say no.
Oh my God.
If someone looks at you and says, I
Stay
need
back, sugar.
It's like, I'm not going to be like, I'm not here for you because I'm already supporting another charity. I mean, I don't understand that, to be honest. I really don't. And so if someone puts a hand out, if I can help them, I will, and I do as much as I can. And it's just as simple as that. And whether I could be more effective, maybe, but that isn't just the way I'm built. Again, I enjoy it. It's a passion for me. There are so many great organizations out there, and funnily enough, and people joke about this with me too, with the animal activist thing, is that I'm both a spokesperson for the Save the Seal campaign as I am the Save the Shark campaign. And the irony is that sharks eat seals.
that is the irony.
But that's natural. That's the food chain.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I'm saving the one
Yes.
mark, saving it is going right after.
He's playing both sides.
Wait,
He's playing both sides, so he always comes out on top.
Here's Nigel. I just saved that seal as he rolls away and jumps into the water and just got ate by that shark. Damn.
God damn it.
Now, Nigel, here's what's interesting about you is I've always said my whole life that God doesn't give you both things. You're either dumb as a box of rocks or you're hot. Okay, you can't have both things. Like for me, I'm obviously not dumb as a box of rocks because I'm not hot. But how did you get it all? How did you get it all? I don't understand. Like what
I don't have it all. I have my own Achilles tendon, heel, and I have, all kinds of issues, I'm sure.
Name one thing you're self-conscious about.
I don't know that I'm self-conscious specifically.
You bastard.
But it's more that I feel a weight. I feel a lot of weight on my shoulders, and and to do the right thing and to make a difference and to really make a difference. But I have two small children, and they're growing up in the world, and I want to be not just talk about what needs to be done with them, but actually act and do. And I grew up in a family where my dad would take us on Christmas Day to a soup kitchen, and we would hand out soup. And I remember hating it sometimes, but actually realizing at the end of it, thinking, God, what an amazing experience that was. And and it made an indelible mark on me, that the joy is in the giving, not in the receiving. And actually, if you spend your life giving, it will be amazing how
down, sugar.
Yeah, God, you perfect bastard. Go ahead, Tifel.
I was going to say, let me rephrase Andrew's question to something that makes it a bit more clear. What Greek god sculpted you?
Go ahead, sugar.
I don't even know where to begin with that one.
Okay, so it's my turn. I have two questions.
Always.
First one, I have to say, now listen, Nigel. You're so forward. I don't know what to do with this. The first one, I will have to say, obviously, I was already in love with your body, but listening to you talk, like I gotta say, now I love the heart and mind too. Like, you're fucking cool. Like, I love you. You're awesome.
Watch the mouth.
Hey, watch the mouth. Go ahead, Denny.
Yeah. No, I had said I had two.
No, go ahead, quick.
Well, for you
my second one, can you please take off your shirt?
All right, thank you. Denny, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I want to everything you're doing, on the humanitarian side is fantastic. So I want to applaud you, but I also want to bring it back to a little bit more fun. Can you tell us a story that, and you don't have to say names if you don't want to, of like where a talent just made a shoot just super difficult or hard to do, like when they wouldn't cooperate? I mean, what makes for a bad day at the office for you?
So it may sound weird, but I haven't had a lot of bad days, right? And I can't.
No, that makes total sense. Trust me.
Yeah, it does.
There aren't a lot of bad days, and when there are, they tend to be exaggerated. For example, on television, when you hear of me shooting Cara D, for example, in Barcelona in a bull ring, and we're trying to capture the. She turns around and snaps, "Why don't you pull that stick," which is the Matador stick, out of your ass, and stuff like that. And it became like television sensation. The worst part of that day, and it's kind of a fun story, was that I was actually when we did those photos, I photographed the bull separately to the models in order to really capture the essence of a charging bull. And we then superimposed it after the fact onto the model. Although we did bring the bull out with the models on TV, the actual reality was they were shot separately. And when I was doing that, I had 3 matadors in the ring with me and my photo assistant, and they would release the bull. The bull would come charging down at me in a 3,500 pound bull. And I would I would take as many pictures as I could of this bull charging at me. The matadors would then tell me to jump up and run behind this big wooden screen. When my assistant and I would run with the cameras, go behind the screen, and the bull would just pound into the screen.
Oh,
the
my
whole thing would
God.
shake, the dust would come down, and the bullfighters would then corral the bull and get it back again. But anyway, long story short, I wasn't getting the shot that I wanted. The bull was, I realized that I probably had a few more seconds than the matadors were allowing me. And I started to get a bit of courage, and I realized I wasn't getting killed. And so finally, the very last time, they're like, okay, one more time. And they released the bull, and they're like, Mr. Barker, you must get up now. And I stayed, and all of a sudden, my photo assistant just grabbed the camera and ran. And when he did so, I realized the bull was almost on top of me.
Oh, my God.
I turned to my left. The bull went right past me, scratched my back, ripped my shirt, drew blood, and they managed to then went into the wall. And if it had been a millimeter more to the left, I probably would have lost a kidney. But
Oh, my
that
God.
would have made it onto America's Next Top Model. Instead, it was Cara D telling me to pull a stick out of my ass. And I'm like, this is the story, guys. Not the Cara D thing. It's not even true. It's kind of like, yeah. But anyway, but the funny thing is the matadors then all got around me, and I thought, okay, here we go. They're going to say, you're out. Right? Because we trusted you. We told you to get out, and you didn't.
You didn't
But
listen.
they looked at me and they went, Mr. Barker, you have the heart of a bull. And they give me a big hug. And I was one of them.
You were one of them.
Oh my God,
You got
that's
their respect.
amazing.
You got their
So the
respect.
good news is on the animal activist front is that we got to save the bull, and the bull ring is now closed, and there's no more bullfights, and that's one of the oldest bull rings in the world. And we saved the bull and put it to pasture. So thanks a lot.
Awesome, man. Well, as you know, Nigel,
Brilliant.
Colleen's got a question. Go ahead, Colleen.
So you were talking about starting your own charity. I have the perfect idea. I think that you should offer day camps for husbands to improve them.
Oh, how dare you?
And I have your first,
I'm so sending mine.
I have your first candidate right here. You just tell me who to make the check out to, and I will gladly do it.
See what you've done,
Oh,
Nigel.
dear.
You're too
Oh,
perfect.
dear.
See what you've done? Men
So I
hate
was
you.
just in touch with a group of people called Fatherly, and it's a great website for men to become, good fathers and what have you. They do a great job. But what I personally do is work with an organization called Girl Up, which is a part of the United Nations Women Foundation. And I was the first male ambassador they ever had, and it was ironic because they said to me, they're like, "Well, this is about Girl Up. We don't need men, and why would you be one of our ambassadors?" And I'm like, "Well, to be honest, most families, and certainly a lot of families, and regardless of whether there's a male figure in the family or not, women are going to have to deal with men on some capacity. So in order for this equation to work and to actually get results, you need everybody in on this picture. It's not women against men or women for women. You've got to have us all." And they fought against me, but they actually ended up making me an ambassador. And I've been working with them ever since. And lots changed now there too. But even with the He for She campaign, I was one of the very first people to instigate that, and was there when Emma Watson created it. But it always bothered me that the He for She campaign was organized by UN Women, because I'm like, it's not a UN Women issue. It's a UN Foundation issue. It's everything. It's not He for She. It's we for we. Because ultimately, we together have to do the right thing that is fair and caring for all humanity, whether we're male or female or anywhere in between. And until we get that right and understand that, we're not going to get anywhere.
Dude, if you weren't married, can you imagine all the supermodels you'd be slaying with all this? You're like, it would be ridiculous.
I'm in
He
love.
doesn't have
I'm
to.
deeply
He doesn't
in
have to
love.
imagine. There was a time he wasn't married.
Well, yeah, I know, but go ahead, Colleen, quick.
Can Andrew be friends with you, please? And hopefully you can rub off on him.
How dare you?
Please?
Could you please rub off on me?
She means you're sent, not the way you are.
Danny Crumb, go ahead.
I love how he just went on this great, changing the world kind of thing, and then Andrew's like, just imagine how much ass you could get, bro.
I know, but I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Like, you are an amazing person. Like, it's you.
But see, he wouldn't think like that because
I know,
he's a decent guy.
I know he is. It's amazing. Gina, go ahead.
That's exactly why Colleen got him a shirt with her picture on it, because that's who he is. He is not Nigel Barker.
That's true. All right, Nigel, but before we let you, I know we have a couple quick things. Before we let you go, one of them, now, when it comes to podcast, it's all about getting that noteworthy thing. So I need you to say something you've never said to anybody where they'd be like, okay, even if you have to make it up, like, Tyra Banks only has 3 toes or something. It doesn't matter.
Oh my God.
You just need to say something that we can pull from this.
No Tyra slander in my presence, please.
Oh, so yeah, Tyra was his first crush.
She was my first celebrity crush.
Shit, I think she was mine too.
I understand you. I don't think you're alone with that, by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm saying that
She's
Sports
mine, too.
Illustrated.
Yeah, she was mine,
that,
too.
That Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue of her on the cover, was that made me a man.
Yeah.
So you have to think.
Yeah.
So you have to think of something that you can tell us that you've never told anyone that we can pull from this. Number one. Number two, has your job become more challenging in 2020 with everyone having cell phone cameras and the quality is so good and filters and all this stuff? Has it made your job more challenging or easier or the same?
I love the fact you've asked me 2 completely opposing questions, basically, at once. They don't go together. I can't segue neatly from one to another to help you with your podcast.
I'm sorry.
It's like one is completely crass about people using cell phones, and the other is something I've never said before.
I know.
Like the meaning of life. And then, do you like cell phone pictures?
It's 42. We already know that one.
Okay.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, Deepak Chopra asked me the meaning of life, and I just had no idea. But anyway, as far as selfies and all the rest of it goes, no. I mean, I actually think bring it on. I think it is wonderful that for the first time in the history of photography, there are over 1.5 billion people with cameras on their phones, and really their phones on their cameras these days. So, what it means is it's the same as giving every child a pencil for the first time. Imagine if kids didn't have a pencil. Not just would they not know how to write or not know how to draw, but it gives them the opportunity to experience what it's like, so that they then appreciate drawing, writing, and art, and the whole process, and so it doesn't make them necessarily competition, but it gives them a love of it, and they actually understand it on some level. So even with photography, you can't give someone the eye for photography. Right. They either have it or they don't. So what it has done, of course, is opened up maybe 10,000, 100,000 more fabulous photographers who never would have had the chance before, which all that does is blesses the world and many more artists out there, which is a beautiful thing. And, and certainly at my stage of my career, I don't really have a lot to worry about. So sorry for all the rest.
You are amazing. All right, Sugar, go ahead quick.
Nigel, if we're doing sound bites, can you please, just one thing, stare deeply, deeply into the camera and say, "I love you, Sugar."
Sugar? I love you, Sugar.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Jesus. Where are my smelling salts? This is the best day of my life.
We're going to have to send first responders to Sugar's house right now.
I'm a big girl. It's getting hot in here.
All right, last thing I know.
God,
I want to
Nigel.
do something, and then Tifa wants to say the last thing, but my thing is, again, it's something you've never told anybody. You must divulge.
Something I've
here
never
with
told
us.
anybody. Well, here we go. I may not have told them, but it is possible that you might discover it.
Okay.
So when I was a kid, and this is the truth, I was a backup singer for Barry Manilow.
Shut up.
No way.
You can sing too.
Amazing.
You can sing
I was
too.
the backup singer for Barry Manilow. Like, you cannot find it on the internet. It's very hard to find. But when I was a child, I was cast, and I was actually recorded onto one of his albums called One Voice. But I went on tour with him and sang in front of Princess Diana in Blenheim Palace and in Royal Albert Hall. And I sang with Barry Manilow on stage. And it's one of those funny things where no one really knows about it. So there you go, people.
Oh my God, you're perfect.
Nobody has ever lived a better life than Nigel Barker.
Oh my God.
Are you friends with any members of the royal family today?
They just don't return my calls like they used to. But the younger ones decided to move nearer to me. I think it's a bit dodgy.
I know, right? It's so true. Now, okay, so who is in your cell phone that you could just text right now? Like, name a celebrity that's in your phone right now. You could just send a text to, and they would text you back.
I got this guy called Andrew Z.
Do not make his head any bigger than what it is.
I love
It
her.
keeps, it keeps bouncing back, though.
So from now on, you are forever going to be Andrew's good friend Nigel Barker whenever he
Absolutely.
talks
All
about
time.
you.
Absolutely.
That's true.
That's it.
Tifa, go ahead, quick.
All right, so mine doesn't seem as exciting now after Sugars, but can you just look into the camera and just one real fast, all seriousness, just say, "Not today, Mr. Bond." Just right there with the accent.
And then also say Sugar.
Not today, Mr. Bond.
Yes.
But Sugar, anytime.
Oh.
Okay.
He likes the sugar shaken, not stirred.
I love this man.
Hey, Andrew, please speed this show up. I got some things to do to you.
But that is the name of my podcast, by the way, Shaken and Stirred.
Oh my God. I'm going to watch
You think I'm
that.
You have a
joking.
podcast?
I just relaunched it on Thursday of last week, and we have a new show coming out on Thursday of this week with
Really?
Estelle Darling, the singer. It will be my new guest on my show.
And where
That
can we
is
find that?
amazing.
Can we define
Anywhere and everywhere you can find podcasts. So from Spotify to Google Play to Apple Music.
Are you dropping weekly?
I'm dropping weekly on Thursdays, and it's produced by Embassy Row, who does Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen.
Oh, wow. That's
Oh,
awesome.
dude,
man.
that's fantastic, man. Good luck on the podcast.
Yes,
Thank you.
NigelBarker.tv is the website where you can keep up with all things Nigel Barker.
The link is in the comments.
Okay, link is in the comments. Nigel, you were an absolute delight, man. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with us. And,
Thank you
you were
so
amazing.
much.
And congratulations on all your success and continued success. It shows that good things happen to good people. You are a good man, my friend.
Well, thank you. It's a lot of fun. You guys were great, and I had no idea that I would be talking to this entire crew. So, I'm not sure whether I look cross-eyed because I don't know where I'm looking, but
No, you look
You
literally
look
perfect.
amazing. You're good. You're good.
You look
are a
amazing.
beautiful
can't-
crew.
You couldn't possibly look bad if you tried, man.
No, I know.
Yeah,
don't think
there's
he
no
could
bad
either.
side.
No,
I wasn't begging for a compliment, but anyway, I'll take it.
Thank you, Nigel. Take care, my
Okay,
friend.
guys.
All right,
Thank you
bye-bye.
so much,
Nigel
Nigel.
Parker. Wow.
Hey, Andrew,
Okay,
can you cut out the not today, Mr. Bond, for me?
Yes, I will.
Sugar. First things first. Are you
Wow.
okay?
No, I'm literally lightheaded.
She looks flushed.
I am.
That's because all the blood is rushing somewhere else.
But if I'm being honest, what an amazing man! I mean, you don't see all sides of him on
Such
watching
a
him on
sweetheart,
television.
literally.
Oh my! First of all, to just go on our podcast randomly, I mean that was cool. And then like we're normal people. Like he didn't seem better than all of it.
Even though he is.
Even though he is, he didn't
Totally better than all of
He
it.
didn't come off that way. Go ahead, Denny.
Well, I mean, and he was so good too because like we all of us threw some sort of joke, like we tossed the ball out there and he knocked it out of the park every
Yeah.
single time.
Dude, he was.
My hands are literally shaking, you guys. This is
Do you need to take the rest of the night off, Sugar? I think.
bitch. I need.
I mean, the dude knows.
Your bed's right behind you. Lie down.
The dude knows Barry Manilow, Princess Diana. I mean, come on, are you serious? Tyra Banks. This dude is the real deal. And
And did
just
you
to be
look up
that
his
kind-
wife? He said they've been married for 25 years. She doesn't even look like she's 25.
Oh my god.
Oh Lord, that was that was
Beautiful
pretty
people
cool.
attract beautiful
Oh,
people,
yeah.
except in the case of Colleen and Andrew.
Shut up.
I'll just say it. I think Sugar could take his wife. You know, if it came down to it.
I don't think he could. I don't think she could. I really don't.
I don't know.
You don't know me, Colleen.
This
I'd watch
portion
out for the legs.
of the show
Girl.
brought to you in part by New Power Property
They are long.
Services. Cleaning, sanitation, your apartment, your house, your condo, your rental party, doesn't matter. Rental property with a New Power Property Services. Check them out on Facebook. A twice but nice retail shop. Buying and selling baby equipment, toys, books, outerwear, clothes, formula, diapers, and so much more to fit your family needs. Clothing for boys and girls 0 to 16. DMX Lawn and Landscape, Sugar.
Y'all gonna make me mow your lawn up in here, up in here.
Can I give a little shout out to them real quick?
Go ahead.
Because I text Dan, and there were like tree branches out by the street the day of Josie's party. And I was like, oh my God, Dan, you need to come get these. He was here 8:30, I think. And it was on his own child's birthday that he came to remove these for me.
That's awesome. He's such a good guy. And,
He is a good guy.
And also by Extreme Class Limousine, another great guy, grocery guy. He's also errand guy and he's limo guy. Extreme Class Limousines. Check him out for all your limousine needs, or if you have any errands. So he's doing anything he can right now to obviously small business like the rest of us trying to hang on. So give him some business if you can. All right. Wow, that was pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let's move on. Let's move on to this. I don't know what else. I'm going to start with this.
Were we
Okay.
supposed to go 40 minutes with him?
No, I mean I was
He was
hoping he'd
just
do
that
15.
good.
Yeah, well, I mean he would have stayed on the whole hour. It sounded like he didn't care.
And
It
he
was
should
that
have.
cool. And he could have. I mean, I felt bad. though. Like we're rolling 40 minutes. I felt bad. I'm like, I don't expect him to stay on the phone this long. I'm trying to get him off, so he can.
I won't want to get him off. I want to get him off.
I knew that was going to trigger Sugar, man. You gotta watch your phrases.
You guys.
When he was talking about giving and receiving, I was like, oh man.
Did you see my eyes start to twinkle?
I'm actually very, very proud of you, Sugar. I think
Pretty
you
good.
maintained really well. You
I'm-
did a
I
I
really
was
good
fucking
job.
I was
trying.
very proud of you.
Well, and like I
Oh
said,
my God.
you could tell that wasn't the first time he got hit on by a drag queen because he took it all in stride.
Yeah.
Well, it's because specifically he loved me. Actually,
Yeah, well, that's
why.
that
That's
is.
why.
Absolutely.
I mean, did you see how by the third time he was starting to take off his shirt himself without even being asked?
Yes, I saw it.
So this means he's trainable. Go ahead.
You know what I
Connie.
loved? He wasn't even on the show for 15 minutes, and he started roasting Tiefel. He is officially one of us.
Exactly. He's
Chris
an
Tiefel, the world's punching bag.
He's an official. He's an official member of the team. All right, I was very appalled today, and I don't know what I was more appalled by. I mean, it's hard to move off Nigel. I think we're all on a high after having Nigel Barker on, but I was really pissed today, and I don't know which I was pissed more about. The president tweeting about this person whose wife was killed almost 30 years ago, working for Joe Scarborough, who is of course a host on MSNBC.
Oh, I know
Joe
about
Scarborough and Donald Trump are kind of go at each other because Joe Scarborough's one of the biggest critics of Donald Trump. So
He's also a Republican, by the way.
He was a Republican, yeah. I think he's independent now, but he was a Republican. So these two go at it all the time. Well, almost 30 years ago, Joe Scarborough was a congressman, and his wife, I'm sorry, not his wife, someone that worked in his office died in his office. She had some sort of medical condition. She passed out. It was at night. She hit her head on a desk. She ended up dying. The next morning, they find her underneath a desk, dead. So it was an accident. Her poor husband at the time has now had to live with this for almost 30 years. He's never been remarried. He lives in the same house he did when they were married. He still thinks about her all the time, and now Donald Trump uses that to score political points by tweeting about this gentleman and saying that we heard Joe Scarborough killed this lady. So bringing this man's not a celebrity or anything, bringing his family up like that, and just the moving tribute. His dad, her husband, I guess, her widow said, please, Twitter, just take down the tweets. It's bringing up bad things for my family. We haven't done anything. We're not a public family. And Donald Trump not only didn't do it after he tweeted this weekend, he tweeted again today. Just a despicable piece of shit human being that guy is, to do something like that to this man. And I was just fuming about that. That's number one. And I don't know. So we'll go. Okay, Tiefel, go ahead.
Well, there was one other thing that might give you a little bit of hope that I literally just noticed. Is Twitter. You know how like Twitter and Facebook have started doing like their fact checking links underneath certain things, like somebody will post an article or an image or something, and then all of a sudden it'll be grayed over, and you have to click on it to see why they're saying it's not exactly true. Twitter actually fact checked one of Donald Trump's tweets today.
Two of them actually.
Related together.
Yeah, they were the same. Yeah.
Yeah, they were related tweets, but they actually posted a fact check link under.
And I didn't want
the tweet
for
his mail-in ballot accusations.
I didn't want to make it about the president, but just that is such a scumbag move. This poor guy. If you read this guy's letter to Twitter, and just the hurt and that this guy has, and just the lack of feeling by this POS president that we have is just appalling. Denny, go ahead.
And one of the things that sucks about this particular I don't want to say incident, but this particular occurrence is Trump's base is made up of so many conspiracy theorists that they're going to take this and run with it. They're going to as soon as he came out and tried to say Obama wasn't born here, all of a sudden the birther movement started picking up a lot of steam, and so like now this poor guy is going to have to put up with all these people that are going to try to prove that Joe Scarborough killed this guy's wife.
Yeah, he wasn't even in the same state.
Yeah, but that's what they want you to think, Tiefel. That's what they want you to think, sheeple. I mean, like that's.
Yeah, please don't start rhyming my name that way.
His supporters are so prone to believing conspiracy theories that they are going to take this and run with it.
I know. Sugar, go ahead.
Okay. Let me preface this with, I think it's absolutely terrible that that lady's widower was brought into it, and I feel absolutely terrible for anything he's going through. That's not right. Not right at all. I will say I've read about this years ago on Reddit. It was a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And like I dug deep and read as many articles or as many little things as I could find. And again, I didn't even read Trump's tweets today. This was 2 years ago. But as I remember from really, really reading everything I could about it, and it went back to articles at the time, I don't believe Joe Scarborough killed her, but I believe, based on what I remember, that they were having an affair.
No, they
and
weren't.
she died,
That's
and
not
those are
true.
two separate things. I don't
It's
think they're
not
linked,
true.
but I read it on Reddit. It has to be
Yeah,
true.
Reddit's not even a credible source. Gina, go ahead.
So the problem is that I understand that conspiracy has been around for a very long time. I also heard it way before Trump tweeted it. The problem is that Trump tweeting it gives gas to the conspiracy.
Right. 80 million people.
And we can say if I'm not, even if I wasn't a Trump critic, I could sit back and say that was irresponsible at the very, very least.
Oh yeah, irresponsible.
It was irresponsible.
Right. Oh yeah.
Imagine if Trump tweeted jet fuel doesn't burn steel beams or some crazy
Well, that's
stuff
true.
like that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't. Don't
You
get me started on
can't
9/11,
traffic
but-
conspiracy theories is the most powerful.
As a president.
Dude, you can get the real information. You can actually call the Justice Department and have a briefing. You're such a
You have the
moron.
damn CIA. You have the
God, I know, I
CIA at
can't.
your disposal.
I can't. So I didn't know if I was more angry about that or this black man that was suspected of a check forgery charge, pulled over yesterday, handcuffed, and then basically murdered by a cop, knees on his neck till he was dead. It was all captured on video. The update is actually, this is the fastest I think I've ever seen people move on a police. They were four officers involved in this were fired today.
Now, were they fired or were they put off with?
No, they were fired.
Fired.
They were fired.
Okay. All right, good.
Fired.
Turning your gun and badge, fired.
Yeah, I watched this video and it turned my stomach. I mean, the evil in this cop's eyes as he was looking at these people that were saying, "Get your knee off his head," and he was just staring at them as this poor guy is begging to be able to take a breath.
And what was the point? He
There
was detained.
he was already detained. He was already in handcuffs.
Yeah, I mean,
It was unbelievable. Gina, go ahead.
So they were fired. It'll be interesting to see if there are criminal charges brought against them, because there absolutely should be. Like you said, the man So the story is that there was a call about a check forgery in progress. The man was sitting in his car. The cops came up and got him out of his car. He did resist. They got him in cuffs and on the ground, where this officer puts his knee on the side of his neck. And he was already in medical distress. They thought that there was something wrong to begin with, so they had already called an ambulance. So they know he's in believe he's in medical distress, still have the knee on his neck. Onlookers are screaming at them. He's saying, I can't breathe. He's in cuffs, and the officer has his hands pockets with his knee on his neck, sitting there defiantly staring at the onlookers and the camera. I think all these details are very, very important, because the intent behind it is the criminal part of it.
yes.
He intended to cause harm to that man, and he was saying to the onlookers with his body language, screw you, you can't tell me what to do.
Yeah, it's disturbing video. Sugar, go ahead.
So I've kind of mentioned this before, but videos like that I refuse to watch. I'm like, I don't want it in my head. I feel like I just heard a little too much detail, because that kind of stuff really affects me. But even beyond that, I only work in a school for children with autism, but we have to get certified at least once a year for CPI, which is how you deal with someone having a behavior without hurting them. So I'm making $11 an hour working in a school. And I had this training, and I know absolutely what you do and do not do if somebody's being crazy or unrestrained or anything like that. He knew exactly what he was doing. As a police officer, he has 20 times more training than I do.
Right.
He knew exactly what he was doing,
Well,
and
and
that just chills me. That's
and the thing is, it's just,
disgusting.
he was still in handcuffs. Just all they want, take your freaking knee off his throat. That's all you had
Yeah.
to do. I
Oh.
mean, it's just I didn't want to watch the video either, but the story was too big for me to ignore it any longer. And then when I did, it's just like I said, it was turning my stomach. It was just that it was that horrific just to watch the evil in this cop's eyes. Now I will have to say I don't want this to become a cop bashing segment, which it has not, because there are good and bad cops, but these guys were bad people. They're just bad people. I mean, there's bad people at Jeep, there's bad people at McDonald's, there's bad people everywhere, and you can't take that across a whole occupation. But and that was bad. Go ahead, Denny.
Yeah, I mean, well, one of the things, like, if for some reason, like, a whole bunch of Jeep workers were the end result of a bunch of people's deaths over the across the nation, I wouldn't be sitting here trying to say, oh, you know, you guys got to stop talking about Jeep workers. Like, you know, that the bad ones need to be held accountable. And for I nobody has more love and respect for police officers than I do. The good ones, the good ones. You know, I had an uncle who was a sheriff in West Virginia. You probably remember because this happened when I was on your show. He was murdered in the line of duty. So I love my uncle. I got nothing but respect for officers that are like my uncle. One of my best friends is a detective for the Toledo Police Department. I worry about him every single day. But you know, he's one of the good ones. We have to hold the bad ones accountable so that the good ones don't get placed in the same basket as the bad ones.
Well, I think it was Gina that said this. I mean, hey, this is the swiftest action we've seen. It happened yesterday. Those guys are fired today.
But let's not do a victory lap yet.
Well, and the FBI is coming into it. They're called the FBI in, I think, to investigate as well.
And that's a really good sign.
Because these people need to be behind bars. Just losing their job is not enough. If I murdered someone, I would be behind bars.
I agree. Gina, go ahead.
So here's what so we don't want to turn this into a cop bashing session. I am with you 100% because like Denny said, there's such a small percentage of bad police. Okay. But here's what my plea is to anybody watching this that's a cop or associated with any police, detective, anything. Please stop ostracizing people that come forward and tell about the bad cops. Please stop blackballing cops that are calling these guys out and standing up, because there were 3 officers that stood by and watched a man get murdered and did nothing. Those are bad cops too. I don't care that they did not murder that guy. They stood there and watched. Stop making it so hard for police to come forward and be good cops.
Absolutely. And that is the problem. The blue wall, we all know about it for decades.
The brotherhood, the gang mentality.
We've known about it for decades. And that's eroded our confidence over decades. So it maybe didn't do it 30 years ago, but every single time that you stick up for these bad guys, these bad cops, you're hurting every cop in the nation by doing that. And please, we got to stop. We got to stop doing this. Please.
The world is going to be a safer place when we can trust police, for everybody, for the police,
Absolutely.
for us, for everybody involved. I shouldn't have to question. We shouldn't have to sit back and be like, well, they're probably not even going to fire him. That should never have been a thought. The thought is, oh my gosh, did you see what that cop did? He's never going to have another job in law enforcement again. That should be the go-to mentality for us. That needs to be the norm.
Tifo, go ahead.
I was going to say, there are several people I saw online, so I imagine there's a lot of people out there that are saying that they're avoiding watching the video. They just don't want to see it because they know what it is on there. But I would encourage anyone to actually watch the video. There's, a lot of people, when we think about death, we think about it in general terms. We know it's coming, but we try to avoid the subject. And when we do talk about it, we're matter of fact about it to try to avoid the emotions involved in it. And this isn't the first person that I've seen die, and watching somebody, but it is the first person I've seen murdered during the whole process, and it changes your view on a lot of things. The first person I've seen die changed my view on a lot of things and everything, and I think that is something that everybody should watch, because it's like it becomes real, more real to you.
There's definitely two sides to that. Go ahead, Sugar, quick.
I mean, you saw how passionate I just was condemning it and how rattled I am.
Yeah.
I'm not. I
You
feel
don't
like
need to
I'm
see
already
it.
all the way there. Why watch something like
Don't
that?
need to see it. Oh, okay. And,
I get it. I mean,
do
stuff
want-
like that can mess with you.
I do want to say,
Yeah,
I do want to say congratulations to the city of Minneapolis, Minnesota, because you looked at the protests that were out there today, and I shared a link to the live protest this evening, and just the mix of people. It wasn't a black person that got murdered. You know, we're going to call it murder. It wasn't a black person. It was a human being, and there were so many different ethnicities out there. It wasn't black people. It was black people. It was white people. It was everyone standing together, showing that that's just not right to do to any human being. It doesn't matter what color you are. Gina, go ahead.
No, I would. Are we going to talk about Central Park, Karen, or no?
No, no.
Central Park. Well, I don't know. Real quick, Colleen.
We
go.
could do it tomorrow.
I was just gonna say, so Tiefel, on your thing of watching the thing, like me, I have PTSD because my brother was actually murdered as well, and it's not something that I can bring myself to watch because of that PTSD. So you need to know where you stand with your mental health.
All right, two quick things.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
Everybody that mentally could watch the video, I encourage to watch it.
Two quick things. White woman, Central Park Karen. She.
I wish that was
sir.
She was.
I
She
I
was,
wish her name was actually Karen.
Do you
Like,
want
that
me to
would've-
get this?
Yes.
Go ahead, Gina.
So, guys out there bird watching, it's a black guy, she's a white lady. He asked her to put the dog on the leash, and she starts screaming at him, so he started recording. She approaches him and says and tells him, "I'm going to call the police and tell them that there is an African American man threatening to kill me and my dog." So then he's got this all recorded. So she calls 911, and you can hear her like increasingly trying to act like she's panicking.
Yeah.
The guy's just standing there with the camera doing nothing.
Yeah.
And the whole time she's choking her dog out, and the dog's yelping. So this, and it is funny, and we want to laugh about it because seriously, the Karens have lost their ever loving minds. There's a couple more Karen videos that are going viral right now. Karens are losing their gourds right now. But there is something deeper that we do have to look at in this, and that is that what she did is just a symptom, because she knows that she can call and again, I'm not trying to turn this into a police bashing session. I'm really not. But she knows she can call the police and that man's life is in danger. She knew what she was doing because black people are arrested, convicted, and have longer sentences for the same crimes as white people do. And that is fact. That is when check it. Google, look it up.
But I will say that I'm really not part of this cancel society, because what's happened to her now? She's been fired from her job. You know, everyone's death threats and all this.
Do you
stuff,
understand that if
coming.
the police would have came and there was no video, that they would have believed that woman over him, and his life would have been canceled?
I understand.
Screw her.
Not would have been, could have been.
Absolutely would have been, sugar. My kid's dad's black. He goes out every day.
Okay, all right, hold on.
You're saying he absolutely would have been killed? We can't know that. That's a reach.
He would have been, his life would have been over, as he would have been charged. They would have believed her. He would have been convicted.
Right.
I can assure you that's what would have
All
happened.
right, well, hold on. So what she has done, she's gone a couple days. She realizes she did wrong. She apologized. Today she apologized. She lost her job. I mean,
was she sorry before or after she got fired?
Well, I mean, it doesn't. I mean, you're.
Well, she wasn't sorry while she was doing it.
Well, no, well, of course not. But I'm just saying, I'm not part of the cancel society where, I mean, she called the cops. I mean, it was a dumb thing to do. There's people are going to make fun of her, but I mean, I don't think that she should lose her life, her complete life, because she called the cops and she did some stupid shit, which she did.
An important example needs to be made,
well,
and because this needs to never happen again.
Right.
She weaponized the police.
It needs to never happen again. And now here's the thing: she can recover from this.
Right.
She can recover from this. Well, she can bounce back. She can get another job. She can show society that she has changed and that she knows that she was wrong. She can prove that. There's still plenty of time for that. If that had gone the way she had intended it when she had called the cops, he would have never had a chance to recover.
All right. Well, okay, but for her, I know it's the end of the world for her, but in 2 weeks, we don't even know her name. So in 2 weeks,
She can recover.
I do.
In 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
You want to know her name? It's
no,
Amy.
doesn't
What is
matter.
it? Amy.
My,
What?
my point is a society we don't know her name. In a month, no one's going to remember this. They're going to be on to. They're
She's
gonna
going to be fine.
They're going to be outraged by 7 or 10 different things in the next month, and they won't remember. So
You get outraged for breakfast.
It's a hard lesson to learn. Hopefully, she's learned it, and everyone is on the side that something should have happened to her. And there you go. Go ahead, Sugar.
Well, I was going to agree with you that I always think that cancel culture is toxic. And I try to personally, and this is just me, spare my outrage for things that are truly outrageous. So the previous story about the man who was murdered is outrageous, and I'm pissed, and even talking about it, my shoulders just tightened. But in terms of this Central Park Karen, some stupid bitch said and did something stupid and mean. I think
they go hand in hand.
China, you better wait, boo boo. We cannot be outraged over what we think may have happened. We are not the Minority Report future police Tom Cruise. You cannot get mad about something you think maybe would have happened, maybe not. If we get outraged at every stupid bitch who says something stupid and mean, we will be outraged all of our lives. I really think she didn't use hate language. None of that. I think she was stupid and mean. I think she was stupid and mean.
It sounded hateful.
Stupid and mean.
Real quick, go ahead.
They absolutely go hand in hand, Sugar. You can't. They're not mutually exclusive. Her calling the police on him the way that she did is the same reason that Denny, what's his name? The guy that just got killed.
Aubrey, the jogger.
No, not him. Well, him too, and the guy that you're talking about with the one that just got killed by police yesterday.
Check forgery.
Okay, so yeah, the check forgery guy, because he fit a description. You have to understand that when you fit a description, it gives the police a license to hurt you, to kill you, to charge you, and especially when you're black. So we can sit here,
especially to a white woman.
And we can sit here as a cast full of white people and say all we want to, like, oh, it was just stupid. It was a dumb thing to do. No, it was a deadly thing to do. It could have destroyed his life in more than one way. He could have died. That's the extreme. But the reality is he could have been charged. It's the reason why Emmett Till is dead. That is still here. That is still around.
He wanted what happened to the guy yesterday in Minnesota. But she wanted that to happen to the guy she called it on. That's what she wanted.
She wanted him murdered. We can't say that. Maybe she just wanted him yelled at. Come on.
She wanted him arrested for nothing.
At the very least.
I agree, but what do we want to do? I mean, she's already been chastised in public worldwide.
She needs to be criminally held accountable, and NYPD needs to come out and say that that does not go down. That's not acceptable. We are not your personal weapon. We are not your gang. You don't call us because someone told you to put your dog on a leash. NYPD needs to condemn that behavior.
An example needs to be made.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with being an example.
That should be against the law.
Yeah, all right, go ahead, Sugar. Quick.
I'm just gonna say, being murdered in cold blood is outrageous. Being mean, it's mean. It's not nice. I'm saying she was a fucking bitch, but
I got you.
It's completely different. Completely different.
Tifo, go ahead.
We're not comparing the two. We're saying that one of them could have happened.
Tifo, go.
I was just gonna say I don't agree with you guys. I don't think this was a result of cancel culture. It's just a liability thing for the company. From what I understand, she was pretty high up in the company. Even if this video didn't go viral, say later on she's promoting somebody. She has several candidates. She ends up promoting a white guy. Race plays nothing in it, but then they get sued by the African American candidate because he was just as qualified and didn't get picked, and he believes it was because of that. And then this video gets used as evidence, and then they're on the hook for a lot of money.
All right, finally, for the first time in the entire evening, ladies and gentlemen, Holly would like to speak.
I raised my hands, but I just get skipped. Anyways,
sorry.
No, a lot of these companies, especially where the people are higher up in position, they have morality clauses. And that sure does check the list of things that are immoral. Because what she did, she inserted the race into the police phone call because she knew what that would do.
She knew they would come.
Right. She said she inserted the race, and she said she was being whatever she said. I didn't listen to it because
She said
I
her
don't need
life
to
was
hear
being
it.
threatened.
By a black man, yeah.
Her life was
See?
being threatened, and she, please come now, please come now.
And I'm
He's threatening me. He's threatening me.
and like, see, like I didn't need to watch the video. I seen enough.
Yeah.
I know in my head what I think of as the most disgusting thing. So I don't need to watch the videos to see how disgusting these people are, whether it be the police or the Central Park Karen.
Yeah.
Like I know there's horribleness in there. I don't need to watch it. I can only imagine.
And the one we didn't get to, and I wanted to get to, was this dude at McDonald's in Toledo.
I have so much to say about that.
We have to
tomorrow.
do that tomorrow. We have
I have
to talk
so
about
much to
that.
say.
All right, we'll do it.
Yes.
We'll do it tomorrow. All right, tomorrow we're gonna talk about the McDonald's kid. Oh my God, what a show! What a
Sweet dreams, sugar. I know you're gonna have them.
crazy.
She's gonna be watching this on replay all
You
night
know
long.
I am.
What a crazy, draining show. Chris Tiefel, Denny Crum, Holly Rupert, Sugar Vermont, Southside
Bye.
Gina, Colleen Z. I'm Andrew Z. Thank you guys for listening and watching. We appreciate it. Have a great night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. This portion of the show brought to you in part by Gloss and Glam by Julianne, your lip sense distributor. If you want to get lip sense, it's the makeup that Colleen uses. Show me your face, Colleen. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. RCI Interior Design specializing in residential, small, commercial, and senior living interior design. And by Memorable Lights. Bring your memories to light with 3D print lithophanes. They offer any forms of delivering lights in memories and lights, rather. Night lights, cube lights, coming soon, lampshades, memorableights.us. That's it, you guys. Woo, what a show. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody.